In this video, we are going over how to protect a new PEX line underground. Here's the best advice I have before getting into physically protecting PEX underground, and it's actually a question for you. Is the water service line in the best location right now? For example, in our case, the old water main between the water meter and the water riser at the house meandered its way across the front yard. Here in the Southwest, many of us have side yard RV gates and just roll trailers, cars, and RVs across the front yard. Driving over the water service line seems like rework just waiting to happen, which is easy to prevent at this point. Sometimes the best way to protect a line is to put it out of harm's way rather than just put it back where it was before. Here's the rest of our situation, including our local code as it pertains to our replacement water service line. We are responsible for everything on our side of the meter. The water service line must be 18 inches below grade and must be surrounded by 2 inches of bedding material, as I went into more detail in these two previous videos. We cannot use PEX for the entire run between the meter and the house. Our city stipulates there must be a 3-foot copper whip on both ends of the water main, at the water meter and at the water riser. There must be a tracer wire. There must be detectable buried water line warning tape 12 inches below grade. Some of those requirements may not apply to your situation, and some are probably very different, especially the further north you live. Always check in with your local building authority to learn the proper plumbing code requirements for your area, like if you need to pull a permit and other logistics that, if missed, could make your house harder to sell later on. Now, technically, we could have buried the PEX line and the copper whips with no additional protection other than the river sand, which is what we chose for our 2 inches of protective bedding material. In our area, placing a sleeve around the PEX is not a requirement by code, since the water main is not going under a walkway or driveway. But since we do have an RV gate parallel to the run, we chose to add it for additional safety measures. So in addition to the river sand, we encased our PEX in a PVC sleeve. The PVC sleeve also has a couple additional side benefits. First, the PVC sleeve also protects the PEX from the pH of the dirt and minerals that would otherwise have direct contact with it on the outside. This extends the life of the water service line. Second, it is a tunnel in the yard so that when the PEX reaches the end of its service life, all a plumber or homeowner has to do is dig on either side and slide in a new 1-inch water main without trenching the entire run. It is a true trenchless solution without any specialized tools. As I said in this past video, when you start researching further, you may hear of trenchless replacement. Generally, this involves opening up your wallet and paying a company to either use an auger to burst your broken line while replacing it by pushing through a new line at the same time, or to reuse the old line by fixing it with an epoxy lining to fill in the cracks, essentially creating a pipe within a pipe. So a full-size pipe inside another pipe for protective measures is also a planned, true trenchless repair in waiting, with no epoxy and lining, making the water service line smaller than it was before, which also decreases the water pressure to the house. And seriously, with how cheap PVC is, this is a no-brainer upgrade. The one thing we would do differently next time on the PVC part is go up an additional size. The PVC we chose to go around it is 1.5 inches in diameter, which did not account enough for a PEX coupling. The PEX couplings are a tight squeeze, which is why we couldn't quickly put it in place when we first attempted it walking out in the street.
Hello, I'm in the street.
Sizing up to 2-inch PVC would have been the better choice. So whatever size line you try to run with PEX, consider keeping the PVC at least 1 inch larger than the PEX line to account for couplings. Ideally, you won't have couplings, but that's the PEX we had, and leaving more space to work with gives you better options for future repairs and replacements. Yes, for those of you who caught it, this is my first ProPEX coupling we had to remove. And for those of you who would like to know what not to do from a newbie experience, definitely check out that video after this one. Even a previously expanded and cut off coupling doesn't give the full diameter justice with regard to just how tight a 1-inch PEX coupling is around a barb once it's put inside 1.5-inch PVC. Now let's go over the details on how we installed the PVC sleeve in the ground. First, we indicated what is inside the PVC by writing a label on the PVC itself with a permanent marker. So the next time the water main needs replacing, when the next people who dig uncover the PVC, they note this isn't the line, but the line is actually inside. This is probably obvious, but for completeness, when we dropped the new water service line in the trench, we made sure the writing on the PVC was faced up. For those of you who connected the dots on not needing to dig the PVC portion of the line and me just talking about digging up the line just now, we have a booklet going for the repairs done to this house, which will get passed on to the next homeowners. This is a major upgrade, which should be mentioned when people are viewing the home. It speaks to pride of ownership and the quality of the house. Part of why someone will be pleased with their purchase is that they know their lives will be easier. But of course, hopefully they won't have to experience this upgrade other than reliably using water in the house. Getting back to protecting the line, after leaving the line exposed for a day to make sure we didn't see any leaks forming, we taped tracer wire along the entire length of the water main. Tracer wire allows a non-metallic line like PEX and PVC to be located using a wire tracer. Definitely check out this past video because what you see here isn't exactly the best practice, and I explain why in this video. Since our line is 18 inches down, we backfilled 6 inches and then put detectable water service line warning tape at a 1-foot depth to signal the presence of a live plumbing line long before a shovel or trencher hits it. Here are a couple CYA suggestions. Before you start digging, make sure to call 811 so your service providers can mark the water, electrical, cable, and gas lines going through your property, and you can safely dig. Also, remember to check in with your local building authority to learn the proper plumbing code requirements for your area. Full disclosure, we are not plumbers, but we did talk to our city inspector and friends who are plumbers before tackling this project. Hiring someone for this job is better before getting in over your head. With multiple layers of protection from the best location, keeping the elements away from the PEX, proper bedding material, judiciously using a Sharpie, tracer wire, and warning tape, this PEX line should last a while. I'd appreciate a thumbs up if you learned at least one thing in this video, and definitely add any missed tips in the comments for the next time we have to do a water service replacement, which I hope is never. I'll be doing another video on how we protected the copper parts of the line, so be sure to check that out right here when it comes out next week.